Hello everyone, my name is Ian, you're watching Big Rock Moto, and thank you so much for tuning in today. So today in the series about the Husqvarna Norden 901, I'm going to walk you through the accessories and modifications that I'm currently using with the bike. Now my accessories and mods and parts focus on really three main areas of improving or changing the bike. One is going to be crash protection. Two is going to be a comfort and ergonomics, and the third is going to be cargo carrying ability, otherwise known as luggage. Now I'm not doing any performance related mods to this bike. No exhaust change, no engine changes, no airbox changes, no fuel mapping. The reason for that is, number one, I want to test the bike stock for 6 months to a year to see if there's any issues with it, and if I did have any issues, it would need to be unmodified in terms of being able to get any warranty claims. And two, frankly, I don't see the point of doing performance changes to this bike. It's already the lightest bike in its class, has the most power in its class, 105 horsepower, and frankly, I just don't get the point of spending thousands of dollars on things like exhaust that barely change the motorcycle at all, and in some cases make you non-compliant with certain laws. So, you know, no offense to anybody who likes that kind of thing, but I just don't see the purpose of that on this bike. I mean, the exhaust is already very lightweight and sounds very good in my opinion. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. So let's get started and walk you through on the different mods I have on this bike. So it's easier for me to stand here and talk about it and then insert all the B-roll instead of trying to, you know, reposition the camera 80 different times to get all these parts. So that's how I'm going to do this. Let's talk about tires first. So the stock tires were the Pirelli and Scorpion Rally STR. They were an okay tire. They're a good tire for highway riding. They're a good tire for a little bit of dirt road riding, but I was getting stuck in the sand. I didn't feel confident in mud, sand, things like that. So I went ahead and changed out to tires that I've already tested before on the T7, which is the Motoz Dual Venture front and the Rouse rear. I'm going to test these, report back, but I already know I love these tires from riding them on previous bikes. Let's talk about bike protection. So there's a couple things that I've done in terms of protection. There's two things I think of right away of any motorcycle. It's a skid plate and handguards. So Barkbuster handguards, they're designed specifically for this bike. They're actually the same kit that they sell for the 790 and 890 Adventure. There's a little spacer there that comes with that kit, so make sure you're getting the appropriate kit for your bike. And all these links are below, obviously. The Barkbusters are great. They're an Australian company. They're a very strong metal wraparound handguard. If you are to crash the bike or run into a tree, they protect your hands and they protect your levers and your handlebars. To me, they're an essential accessory. The other thing I did was a skid plate. So the stock skid plate is very, very thin, and although I think it'll be good for a lot of people who are just doing very light off-roading or mostly just highway riding, it's sort of like a stone guard from gravel getting kicked up, it's not going to protect the engine from like a hard impact into a big boulder or something like that. So I went ahead with a Tusk skid plate. It's a Quiet Glide skid plate. It has the black plastic piece underneath, which keeps things quiet, and you can replace that. It also slides over rocks. I had the Tusk skid plate before in other bikes, the T7, I had it on my 790. I've proven that it's very durable, it's long lasting, it's well made, and I don't have any issues with it. One thing I did mention to Rocky Mountain was, I said I wish they would cover the little gap in the front where it kind of shows through the exhaust header. I think they designed it like the stock skid plate, thinking that they wanted to maintain the cooling airflow coming into the engine, but I would like to see something to just cover that gap. So the next thing I want to talk about, there's a couple parts that Perun Moto, they're a company based somewhere in Europe. They're very, very nice to send me these parts. So the first is this rear luggage rack, which is beautifully made, has a ton of attachment points for anything you want to carry, fuel canisters, tail bags, duffel bags, whatever you want to carry on the back of the bike. It's really the most beautiful luggage rack I've ever seen, and I've tried just about everything. So I highly recommend you check out Perun Moto. They make beautiful parts for motorcycles, and it installs very, very easily and gives you a ton of place to strap down different kinds of luggage, and it's very, very useful for how I travel. Perun Moto also sent out a couple other things. They sent out their kickstand extension plate, and I highly recommend you pick one of those up because the bike then won't sink into sand or mud or soft terrain, and it just holds the bike up from the kickstand from sinking. So very high quality product. The Perun Moto one, I can definitely vouch for it. It hasn't loosened up. It looks beautiful and it works very well. They also sent out their handlebar clamp, which replaces the top handlebar clamp and has the amps mounting pattern, so you can mount things like GPSs or phones or cameras or whatever else you might want to mount. So very, very nice. Thank you, Perun Moto, for sending that stuff out, and a link to that will be below. Let's talk about foot pegs for a second. So I'm very picky about the foot pegs. Now the stock foot pegs that came on the bike were pretty decent for an adventure motorcycle actually, but I wanted a foot peg that was wider, longer and more supportive, and I also wanted a foot peg that was lower to give me more leg room. Now keep in mind with that, you do need to go ahead and adjust your brake and your shift levers once you put these on. The Black Dog CycleWork foot pegs, and I've used them before on other bikes, Black Dog makes some of the nicest aftermarket skid plates and foot pegs and other hard parts for motorcycles in the world. They're USA based and they make beautiful parts. So he gave me a discount on these foot pegs, so thank you, Kurt, for doing that. The foot pegs are amazing. They give me a lot more leg room. They're very grippy, but they don't tear up my boots too much. They're nice and wide. I think they're the perfect size, not too big, not too small. And the installation might be the best part because they give you the installation pin, which allows you to slide the foot pegs in without all the cursing that normally you have to do fighting with the springs. So highly recommend you check out Black Dog CycleWorks, family-owned business, if you're looking for things like skid plates and foot pegs. Let's talk about some of the stuff up at the front of the motorcycle. So I am using the Puige windshield extension, which I talk about in all my videos, and the links to that are below. It helps a little bit on this bike, not as much as I was hoping. The medium seems to be the best fit for this bike. The large was a little bit too big. It does allow me to direct some air over my head or dump the air on my helmet if I want more cooling airflow if it's hot. So it is a nice thing to have. I'll probably be leaving it on here, but I am looking to change the windshield because the bike is just very, very noisy from the windshield. Also up here, I have the Moto Pumps articulating GPS mount. It bolts up into the factory GPS mounting location. It's beautifully made. Again, it's a USA-based company, small family company. They sent this out for me to review, and I'm in love with it. You can adjust the angle. Again, it mounts very, very easily in just a couple minutes and allows you to mount any GPS, and it's working beautifully with my Garmin Zumo XT. So thank you so much to Moto Pumps for sending that out. They also sent me their tire inflator, which is the best motorcycle tire inflator, which I'll also link below, and I'll feature that in a future video. So while we're up here talking about sort of the handlebars and the controls, I use double take adventure mirrors. Almost, so many of my friends use these mirrors. You see them out there all the time. If you watch Itchy Butch's videos, you always see these mirrors in her videos. They're great because they're indestructible, they don't vibrate, they have a really good view, and they're adjustable very easily, and you can fold them in if you're riding through narrow trails. So I put these on all my bikes. I just ordered another set to put on my GSA because I just love these mirrors. And yeah, they screw into the stock mounts. They come with all the parts you need. I'll have a link to that below. And so I highly recommend those. I really like them. Heated grips. So I went with the Koso Apollo heated grips. The reason for that is a few reasons. I didn't want to wait and pay the extra for the Husqvarna heated grip kit, which integrates into the buttons, and I wasn't sure how good that was going to be. It was also expensive, and they didn't have it in stock anyway. So I've used the Koso ones before. The thing I like is that the switch is integrated here into the left grip. So there's no extra switch to wire. It keeps the wiring cleaner. The grips get pretty warm. They have like 5 or 7 different levels. They install easily, and I highly recommend picking those up for any motorcycle that you want to put on heated grips. One more thing I have up here, which some of you have noticed, is I use a tire pressure monitoring system. So while Husky does have this as an OEM part, again, I didn't want the expense and the wait times for the OEM stuff. So I went with this brand. It's called Psychic. It's from Amazon. I'll put a link here below. And I've used this on other bikes before. I just haven't talked about it. But they screw onto your valve stems and they measure the pressure and the temperature. So as you're riding along, you can see your tire pressure. If you were to have a puncture or anything wrong with your tires, you can see that that's happening and address the problem before it becomes an issue. So it's like preventative measure, right? And I love being able to see my tire pressures. It's only like 50 or 60 bucks. So I highly recommend that if you ride any motorcycle at all, street bike, adventure bike, whatever it is, you can put this on any motorcycle and it works extremely well. I'm very, very happy with them. Now let's talk about luggage. So I am using a lot of the Tusk luggage on this bike because I do have that affiliate program with Rocky Mountain. But it's not just for that reason. I also really genuinely like the Tusk luggage. I've used Moscow Moto, I've used Giant Loop, I've used Wolfman, I've used everything. I've been doing this basically my whole life. And the Tusk stuff is really nice. And especially I like the Olympus panniers. So I'll put the videos and the pictures here, but they mount very nicely to the Tusk racks, which they sell for this bike. Speaking of the racks, they're very well made, they mount very easily, and they fit very close to the bike, so the bike doesn't look wide and ridiculous like they did, in my opinion, on the Tenere 700, which I had before. So I'm very happy with the racks. I'm always going to leave them on because they're extra crash protection if you fall. Also, they're a really good place to grab the bike and move it around or pick it up. Highly recommend the racks. And the Olympus luggage, or their higher end luggage that they clip on with a metal mount to these bags. quick release on and off. They have the pockets on the front and back, they're waterproof, they hold a ton of stuff, and I'm a huge fan of those bags, and I think they're great value for what they offer. I also like the Olympus tank bags. I've run both the small and the larger tank bag. They both fit well on this bike. And the tail bags, I am still running the Rig Gear. This is the dual sport tail bag. I also have the larger adventure tail bag, which I use sometimes. And I think that's about it for luggage. I might change some things up on luggage in the future, but we'll just have to see. Well, I'm sure I've missed something, so if I did miss something, if you have questions about any of this stuff or anything else related to the Norden, just put that down below in the comments below and I will get back to you. Just give me a few days, as I get a lot of comments. It takes me a long time to catch up. So I hope I didn't miss anything important, but I think I've covered all the major components. Now, am I going to change things in the future? Well, yes, because that's just how I am. I want to modify it, I want to change how it looks, I want to do different things. So some things that I'm considering, I might do crash bars just because I'd like to have a place to mount extra driving lights and foot pegs. I might do like a decal kit to change up the look. I might try some different tires, I might try some different luggage. The windshield is definitely going to get changed as soon as there's any sort of other option, because I absolutely hate the factory windshield. But other than that, there's not too much. I mean, honestly, the bike as it is with the luggage I have here and the setup, you could ride this on any BDR, you could take this across the country, you could do anything with it. And there's really nothing wrong with the way this is set up, nothing that it's really lacking. So I hope this video was useful. Again, comments, questions, put them down below. Please support Big Rock Moto, and there's ways to do that in the description of this video below. Thank you so much for watching. Ride safe and stay tuned for more Norden videos. We'll see you out there.